Once again, welcome to my lecture in YouTube, Professor LPT. Today's topic is utilization of bones. Along with that, we will discuss about the utilization of hoops and horns because they are also similar to bone. In modern abattoir and meat plant, bones, particularly from the large animals, are considered as byproducts. Even the bones are available also from the dead animals or sometime from the fallen animals, we say. And the hoops and horns are also available from all large animals, particularly from cattle, and that can be utilized. So here we will discuss today about the processing of bone into bone meal or other for livestock feeding or for fertilizer purpose, and we will also discuss about the preparation of gelatin from bone. Of course, we will discuss it briefly and we will have a separate details lecture only on gelatin, and then we will discuss about the preparation of bone char briefly and processing of hoof from which we can make neat's foot oil, and also processing of horns for making horn meal or sometimes hoof and horn meal. So first let us understand briefly about the bone. As I already mentioned, in case of large animal, bones are separated. Only the boneless meat is taken for marketing or processing. So bones constitute about 15% of dressed carcass weight, and it can vary according to the age or health status, even with the breed, etc. And on live weight basis, it is about 12 to 30% in case of cattle, buffalo and pig, and about 20 to 30% in case of sheep and goat. Of course, in case of sheep and goat, the bones mostly will go with the meat for as such meat marketing, but whenever we process into boneless any product, that time bone will come out as a byproduct. So these bones which are coming from the good hygienic condition from the slaughtered animal during deboning, that is of edible category and that can be processed for edible products, whereas many other bones are collected from the fallen animals or dead animals. Sometimes they are called as desert bones, that will go only for inedible processing. Let us see the average composition of fresh or green bone, the bone which we get from the slaughter process, from the hygienic process. That will have around moisture 50%, red and yellow marrow, that is the bone marrow 15%, then organic matter which includes like tendons or cartilage and all other things, that is 12%, and it includes the collagen mainly, and the inorganic matter, that is about 23%. So in the organic part, that is collagen which is present in the bone, that is also called as osin, and that is the major part which is used for making the gelatin. And the inorganic matter major is the calcium, phosphorus, sodium, potassium, magnesium, and traces of copper, zinc, iron, cobalt, manganese, etc. Here in continuation about the composition of bone, as I said, the bone marrow, that is red and yellow bone marrow, that makes about 96% is fat in that. And the bones of fallen animals, as I mentioned, it is called desert bones, and these bones will undergo the changes due to the atmospheric actions and also due to the exposure to bacteria, insects, sunlight, etc. So slowly it will lose much of the organic tissues like meat portion, fat and tendons. Only the hard bones will remain, and the osin, that is the organic part, collagen inside the bones, that remain in dried form, and some part of the calcium, phosphorus and minerals. Now bones, how they are to be utilized? They are basically can be utilized in three ways. One is preparation of gelatin and glue. Glue is the lower quality version of gelatin, and the bone meal. Bone meal, that is bones are sterilized by rendering, as I mentioned earlier in case of rendering lecture, by wet rendering, and then we can make meal which can go for livestock feeding. And if it is of very low quality from dead animals, etc., it can go as a fertilizer. So these are the major use. Of course, there are some more use in case of hoops and horns, we will see later. Here briefly I will discuss about the preparation of bone meal. It can be of two category. One is for feeding to the livestock, another is very low category which can go for fertilizer in gardening or horticulture, etc. So depending on the quality. So I have discussed earlier about the rendering. So that process is applied here. The bones are collected and cleaning should be done, and then it should undergo sterilization. So this is generally to be done by wet rendering, but sometime if we want to go for dry rendering, then we should do the loading of the bones in the inner chamber, and we should add extra water to provide the steam. Sometime if we go for wet rendering, then sterilization is done, but the second part, drying, is not easy in that, so it can be loaded into the dry rendering in the second part, and then the drying can be done. So after this rendering, draining is done and it is drying, and then sometime we can do sun drying, and then we can go for grinding and make the bone meal. So if we want to make it very low quality from dead animals, then simple sterilization and sun drying and milling is suitable. But if we go for livestock feeding, then the quality should be maintained, proper sterilization should be done, proper drying should be done, it should have proper storage stability in that process, and the grinding and milling is done. So this bone meal, here we can see the composition. It will have a rich source of calcium and phosphorus, calcium 30.5% and phosphorus around 15.5%, protein 7%, because bone has got very less protein, so protein content will be less, and fat about 1%. From this bone meal we can make cattle lick. Directly bone meal can be used in the ration for livestock, especially pig and poultry, whereas cattle lick can be prepared by taking bone meal with a 66 parts and 33 parts redoxide, which contains iron, and 1 part of some important trace elements like copper sulfate, sodium or potassium iodide, and cobalt nitrate or sulfate or chloride, and other trace elements. Sometimes bone ash or calcine bones can be prepared. Here the collected bones are burnt on grills or by trench firing to yield spongy, brittle bones and pieces which can be ground to ash. So this ash is a very good fertilizer. It is a very good source of calcium and phosphorus, and it can be used in all kind of horticulture or gardening purpose. Here we will see the comparative composition of different meals. Earlier we have discussed in rendering process, preparation of meat meal or meat cum bone meal, where we can make blood meal or even bone meal. So if we see here, in case of meat meal, the protein will be more than 55%, whereas the fat will be around 8% and phosphorus will be 4.5. If we see carcass meal, that includes bone plus meat, meat cum bone meal we say sometime, there the protein will be less than 55% because bones are there. Phosphorus will be more than 4.5%, and in case of bone meal, only bone is there, so the protein will be very less, up to 7%, calcium 32, phosphorus 15, moisture around 7. And if we see blood meal, which can also be prepared in rendering, that will have more than 80%. It is a major supplement for protein, and calcium low, phosphorus low, fat is also non-existent, moisture about 10 to 12%. So here it is another use of bone by making bone char. So this is done by full burning under control pyrolysis, and that makes the charred bone. So the materials are prepared from the bones, and we can make it from hygienic process of collection and slaughter of the bones, and then it is cleaned and first sterilized and made into pieces, and then it undergoes the pyrolysis, and finally we can get the charred bone. So these bones are having many use in the industry, even different kind of sugar purification or as adsorption material, and it can be used for other industry purpose. Now we will discuss about the gelatin and glue, which are a major valuable product prepared from bones. So it can be edible and non-edible category. The edible version is called gelatin, whereas the lower quality version is called glue. So edible gelatin is manufactured from fresh bones which are obtained from slaughtered animals. That should be from hygienic condition and inspected animals, and the handling and storage of bones should be very hygienic. Then chemically there is no difference between gelatin and glue. Both are prepared from the collagen present in bone by the hydrolysis process, but the glue is of low grade. Here the gelatin is comparatively dark in color and it is processed in a high temperature or from the bones which are not hygienically so good. The edible uses of gelatin either in the ice cream as a stabilizer, in jellies, soft chocolates, in foaming agents, making capsules in the pharmaceutical industry for medicines, as binder in tablets, or as a plasma extender in blood transfusion. Commercially, the gelatin is also used in the textile industry, in the leather industry, in the photography, etc. Glue is an important adhesive which is used again in the plywood industry, in the furniture, sandpaper, gum tape, etc. Now we will discuss about the manufacture of gelatin. The basic principle here is the gelatin is produced by the action of hot water or by boiled water on the collagen or oosin. So here there is a hydrolysis and also hydration. We have discussed earlier in collagen there are more number of cross-link or disulfide bridge which makes it very tough and insoluble. But in this process, by heating at hot water for a long time, slowly these bonds are broken. So that's the hydrolysis, and some amount of water it absorbs, and then there is a conversion in the state and this material becomes soluble. So when it becomes soluble, then it is called gelatin. Whereas earlier we have discussed about leather, like from skin there is collagen, but that we convert to more tough by the process of tanning. So here it is reverse. The tough collagen is converted to soluble condition and then it becomes gelatin. The procedure is washing of the bones, demineralization, that is minerals are removed, then the extraction of gelatin by heating or cooking, then filtration, then concentration of the gelatin and drying. So we are again going to see these steps. So we are discussing about the preparation of gelatin from bones. The first step is preparation of crushed bones for the making of gelatin. So this is the primary step where the bones are selected. If we want for food grade, then the quality of bones should be very hygienic. It should be from healthy animals which are slaughtered with proper inspection. After that, bones are cut and then it undergo heating and cooking. So there will be degreasing, all the fats will go, and then it will be further washed. Then it will undergo drying and then there will be crushing. So then we can see the small pieces of dry bones. So that is the crushed bones which will not have much moisture, which will not have any fat. Now it is ready for the further processing to make the gelatin. Here we can see the complete process of gelatin preparation, the flow diagram. The first part I have already discussed, that is the collection of bones, then washing and cutting, then degreasing by boiling in the water, and then drying and further crushing into pieces 1 to 2 centimeter cubes. Now the most important step is demineralization. So this is a process to remove the mineral part, that is the calcium phosphate. It is done by using acid, 4 to 10% hydrochloric acid. There is a dilute hydrochloric acid and it will be kept for long time. The slowly this calcium and phosphorus will come out like dicalcium phosphate, and this part is separately used as mineral supplement for the livestock. After this process, there will be a thorough washing and then we get the soft gel, which is the only collagen or called as oosin. So sometimes we say oosin is the mother of gelatin. Now this oosin After washing, we'll undergo the main step for extraction of gelatin. So that is a hydrolysis process. There will be a slow heating at different temperature. At the beginning, it will be heated at 60 degrees Celsius for a long time. Then next step 70 degree, then 80 degree, and then we can go for 100 degree. So at the lower temperature, only some part of the gelatin we will get, and that is the best quality. And then when we increase the temperature, slowly quality goes down, and when we get it at 100 degree, it will be of lower quality, and then we call it blue. After this extraction, this gelatin which is extracted, it will be separated by the process of filtration, sometime under pressure, and that will have some amount of moisture or water. So this water will be removed by first there will be a concentration to evaporate the water, and then there will be a final drying and packing. Sometime we can make the powder from this. So this is the whole process of gelatin preparation. I am not going in much details. I am going to make a separate lecture only on gelatin preparation, mainly for the postgraduate students. Here once again we can see the complete process of gelatin preparation. So first in the top left we can see porcine bones, those are dried bones. Then it is crushed, so we can get the crushed bones. Then it undergoes demineralization and we get the mineral part which makes dicalcium phosphate, and then the ocean part which is soft gel goes for gelatin extraction. After that there is filtration, then there is further concentration to evaporate the water, and then there is drying, and finally we can get gelatin. So this is the once again complete flow of gelatin preparation. So far we have discussed about different utilization of bones. Now briefly we will discuss about the utilization of hoops. So hoops, inside there are bones, so sometimes it is called shin bones. So this shin bone is separated from hoops, and then it can be utilized for preparation of neat's foot oil, which is a very sophisticated lubricant for delicate machineries. So this pure neat's foot oil is a pale yellow liquid which does not solidify or dry even at freezing temperature. So the freezing point of neat's foot oil is very low. That's how it becomes very useful at a very high altitude or at a very low temperature for any delicate machineries or instruments. So it is used as a lubricant for delicate machinery in aeroplanes, ships, costly watches which are likely to be exposed to low temperatures. It fetches a very high price, but yield per animal is only a few milliliters. So the quantum of this oil we can get is very less. And the production of neat's foot oil is economic only in places which are adjacent to large abattoirs. So particularly it is prepared from large animal hoops. So the number of animals should be more, or number of hoops should be more, then only we can make a good quantity or sustainable production of the neat's foot oil. Briefly I am going to discuss next about the process of making neat's foot oil. Here we will discuss briefly about the preparation of neat's foot oil. The first is collection and cleaning of the hoops. Mainly it is from cattle and buffalo feet. Those feet are collected and washed nicely. Then it undergoes scalding, that is heating at around 60 to 70 degrees Celsius for some time. And then if we heat them, then this bone will, the bone cap will come out, and we can get the soft bone inside the hoops. So this soft bone in the next step is processed for extraction of the oil. So in the soft bone there are fatty tissues which are liberated in the oil form by long-term heating at about 85 degrees Celsius for 8 hours. Now all this oil will be at the water surface, so that water is separated and then it undergoes purification. First there is filtration and then there is dehydration, that is the all moisture should be evaporated and dried, and then it is undergoing packaging. So finally we will get the golden color or pale yellow color liquid in a very less quantity. So that is the neat's foot oil, which has got very high value in the sophisticated machineries and instruments as a lubricant. Now briefly we will discuss about utilization of horns. Horns consist of two parts, that is horn pith and horn proper. So horn pith is like bones, it will have major collagen, whereas horn proper, the outer hard portion, which is mostly made up of keratin like nails or hairs, etc. The horn pith forms the core or the inner part. It is a very good raw material for preparation of gelatin because it has got the collagen, or it can be used for making bone meal. The scalding of horns in water at 60 degrees Celsius for some times and then hitting with a hammer separates the two parts of the horn. As in case of hoop also, first scalding and then hitting, then the outer covering comes out and the soft inner part we can see, that inner part is the horn pith. Several articles can be prepared from this, like buttons, combs, handles, decorative pieces, etc. from the horn proper, that is the outer hard covering, if it is subjected to regulated heating, pressing and cutting. Sometime if we don't prepare anything, these hoops and horns can be combinedly processed and made into hoof and horn meal, and that can be used as fertilizer. Whereas as I said, horn pith, the inner soft material, that can be used separately for gelatin making. Outer covering, it can be horn meal or other decorative items or utility items. But nowadays the value of these items are reduced because all these items can be made from plastic. Now we are at the end of today's lecture. Today I was talking about the utilization of bones along with that hoops and horns. In case of bone, the most important is bone meal preparation and gelatin. Bone meal can be prepared from condemned animals or dead animals. If they are processed properly, it can be used for livestock feeding. Whereas gelatin is prepared only from healthy animals with proper inspection and healthy handling and sanitation of the bones and processing, which can go for food industry or food grade. Whereas from the lower grade bones or dead animal bones, we can make both bone meal or gelatin. So when the bones are left outside for long time, they get dried, then the gelatin preparation is not possible. We can make lower quality, that is glue, or we can make bone meals. So we have also discussed briefly about the preparation of bone char and also use of utilization of hoops from which we can make neat's food oil, which is very delicate and sophisticated lubricant, and also we can make from the horn sometime either glue or horn meal. So this is briefly about the utilization of bones, and I am going to make a details lecture only on preparation of gelatin in a separate lecture. Thank you.